Okay, I'm set up. I've got my microphone stuck up under here, and you can kind of see through here. I've got my pieces, got scrap, got my Sharpie, because you're going to want to write the number of the welding rod you're going to use on there. The numbers on these rods, by the way, is stamped right here by the tip. So you'll be able to read them, figure out which rod it is, and then write that on the back of the piece that you actually make. Now, to strike an arc, one of the things you want to do is pretend that you're striking a match. If you remember any big old kitchen matches, it's very much the same way. You're going to move it along, and once you get close, you're going to be able to do the work that you need. And with the auto darkening lens, you can actually see it. We didn't used to have these auto darkening lenses, but we do now. Makes it a lot easier, I admit, but a little bit more expensive. And actually rather unnecessary, because during World War II, your great-grandmothers were possibly building ships along the coast of California. Rosie the Riveter, they called her, but they were mostly welders. So those women were welding days before auto-darkening lenses, so if your great-grandmother could do it, you could too. But since we got to learn this a little bit more on your own, this is a pretty easy way to do it. So what you want to do is have you don't want the rod straight up. You want it at an angle, about 30 degrees at an angle. And you want to keep, once you get started, you want to keep the rod about 1/8 of an inch away from the metal that you're welding. And as you do that, you're going to move it along. The tricky part is that the rod is going to get shorter as it burns up. And so you've got to keep that 1/8 of an inch distance. But to start it, you actually have to touch the metal to get the electricity circuit going. So let me just show you. It worked. Now this is something that happens a lot, is you get your piece stuck. That's the purpose of the chip breaker there. Break it off of the chip. And this is why you want to practice. The heavier stuff's a little bit easier to practice with, but I'm doing it on this one so you'll see a cleaner part. Turn it off, get it going back in. Okay, there you go. Be sure it's turned off when you put the piece back over there. And what you're going to find, you'll notice I'm wearing my safety, you may not notice it, but I'm wearing my safety glasses up under here, which is fairly useful because, and I should have a pair of pliers back here. I'll put a pair of pliers out for you. You may be able to see it, but there's a slag that has developed over the weld, and it has to be knocked off, just like I did with the little hammer right there. Just knock it off. I'm going to hold it down with the brush. Once it's off, polish it up with the brush. And your goal is to make 4 of these with 4 different rods that you're going to find in here. And when you're finished, that's still a little too hot to work with, but If this were the one I just did, write down on the back 60, 13, whatever the number is going to be, you write it on the back. And your initials, so we know you'll know who it is. Somebody won't try to take yours. When you're finished, I'll have some foxtail brushes up here. When you're finished, take your rod out of the hopefully you'll be down a little bit shorter. The used rods go in the tray at the bottom. They may be long enough that somebody will want to come use them later. Take the cables and clamps and wrap them a little bit. May not have to do too much to get them off the ground, but a little bit. Make a little bit of a loop with them like this and hang them over here. Hang them, do not hang them. Do not hang them like this. Hang them over. You'll see how they are when you come in. Hang them like that when you're done. There'll be a foxtail brush. Sweep things up. Don't worry about sweeping the floor. Return these to their rightful place. Like I say, by the time you've laid 16 beads down, everything around here will be sanitized. And I'll have the exhaust fan on. I didn't have it on here because it makes a lot of noise. And we've had enough problems with noise with all this. As you're getting ready and things are cooling off, do the same thing with the helmet. Even though it's not going to be used for a couple of days, it still needs to be sanitized. So spray the inside. I don't know that you can get this. I don't know this virus will come at you from the through your hair, but if you're worried about it, put a paper towel in there when you lock your thing down. Spray it, then take care of all the other cleanup. Do what you need to do. After it's sat for a few minutes, come back with a paper towel and wipe it down. Hang it back up, but I'll be coming in around to replace them with the other one after everybody's done. That's arc welding, guys. You'll figure it out when you get to it if you haven't done it before.